Good morning, and welcome to our daily reflection. From my own experience, I know the love of a mother can never be understated, something many, myself included, never fully appreciate until later in life. However, it was a bigger influence of my dad that set me on a course of my young adult life. As I look at society today with so many single parents, which are mostly, sadly, single mothers, it's a great tragedy that so many children today miss what for to me was a steadying influence of a father in their lives. It was the habits of my dad, both good and bad, that helped shape my early life. He was a person whose example I always wanted to follow, failing miserably most of the time, I will admit, but his example did give me the building blocks, the wisdom, if you like, to put into practice the things I had been taught. For him, or from him, I inherited his hard work ethic, although I still often tried to find the easiest way to do a job. One of today's set readings gives a very similar example. It is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 4. My child, listen to me and do as I say, and you will have a long, good life. I will teach you wisdom's ways and lead you in straight paths. When you walk, you won't be held back. When you run, you won't stumble. Take hold of my instructions. Don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to life. Don't do as the wicked do, and don't follow the path of evildoers. Don't even think about it. Don't go that way. Turn away and keep moving. For evil people can't sleep until they've done their evil deed for the day. They can't rest until they've caused someone to stumble. They eat the food of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The way of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn, which shines ever brighter until the full day of dawn. This is the word of the Lord. If everyone in life today walks down one of two paths, we either follow the path of wisdom and discernment or the path of folly and a wasted life. It seems to me that only in later life, when we stop and take the time to look back at the path our lives have taken us, that we think of those who have influenced us, whether directly, as in the case of my dad, or indirectly in the case of the sadly now departed Dr. Wallace Allen Shaw, or Wally Shaw, as he was known to many, that you realise the effect they had in your life. All that helped greatly when I finally spread my wings and left home, when something else took over as a great influence and teacher. Just as the television advertisement said, born in St Andrews, made in the Royal Navy. Which brings to life those verses. I will teach you in wisdom's ways and lead you in straight paths. Take hold of my instructions, don't let them go. Guard them, for they are the key to life. But it was Wally Shaw, the Reverend Wally Shaw, who instilled in me not only the love of and respect of whoever my neighbour was, but he also gave me the courage to question or challenge the status quo. It was, I think, through him as a person rather than as a priest, because as a young and probably unruly teenager in the mid-1960s, I was rarely inside his church, St Margaret's in Glenrothes, where I lived. He had an eagerness and an expertise in young people's work that paid dividends. Many people, including myself, owe much to his vision, which helped many in the younger generation, an approach that quickly received the full support of his congregation. It was in reading his obituary only a few years ago that I can fully understand the wisdom and the courage of his faith that he had been able to pass on. Born in America, he studied theology in Edinburgh, where he met and married his wife. Back home, he was ordained as a Methodist minister in 1960. Wally had charge of a church in Long Island, New York, but within 2 years, the area superintendent served him an ultimatum. A church board member had complained that Mr. Shaw was welcoming a black American to Sunday services in the all-white parish. Mr. Shaw refused to back down and was summarily dismissed. He then moved back to Scotland, the Scotland he had fallen in love with. In 1963, he was ordained into the Church of Scotland, arriving in St. Margaret's, where his friendly, infectious, and humorous nature, as well as his unconventional look, immediately endeared him to many, or to almost all who met him. Although his open-minded, unconventional approach to many issues could on occasion raise eyebrows, he was never afraid to voice his opinion, but he was loved by his growing congregation, which reached over 1,000, especially through his work with young people. One of the legacies from his time at St. Margaret's was founding Operation Friendship, an organisation recognised by United Nations, whose aim was to link up youth groups from across countries and continents. I know personally many young people who benefited from those exchanges. And in December 1988, within hours of the Pan Am disaster, he was one of the first American volunteer counsellors for the families at Lockerbie. When he sadly passed away in December 2010, I believe the world lost a great man, a gifted teacher, and a real font of wisdom. So to finish with a prayer, living God, creator and giver of life to all people, we ask that you would hear our prayer for peace amongst all nations and for ending the conflict in Ukraine. We ask that you shall judge between the nations and that you will lead nations with wisdom in the paths of peace, and that the dividing wall of hostility will be broken down. Amen. And I want to leave you with one font of wisdom that my father left me. I could never forget his greatest example. That's whenever he felt he was on the wrong side of my mum, he would utter those immortal words, "Yes, dear." So whatever you're doing today, this week, stay safe, and if you can, keep smiling. Bye for now.